Welcome back to the Double Feature, the series where I play two random games in a single video. Although, to be honest, I should probably stop saying that all of these games are random. Because I mean, for the past year now or so, most of these Double Feature videos have had some sort of theme to them. Whether it be that the games were created by the same developer, or they're part of the same series, or, in the case of my Missile Command Double Feature, they're technically the same game? So I should probably consider just dropping that whole part of the intro altogether, because it pretty much is a gigantic lie at this point. Now that being said, this double feature is going to be showcasing games that are not technically related to one another. They're only related to each other in the sense that they were made by the same developer. And in today's double feature video, we are going to be checking out more of Vectorpark's games. Indeed, I just cannot get enough of Vectorpark's titles, man. They make some of the most interesting and some of the most creative Flash games that I've ever seen on the internet. Some of the most visually stunning Flash games I've ever seen on the internet as well. So I'm choosing to cover two Vectorpark games in today's video due to the fact that neither of these games really have all that much to them. They can be completed fairly quickly, and in the case of the first game, I'm not sure if it is even possible to complete it technically, and I'm not really sure it's possible to complete the second game that I'm gonna show off. But regardless of that, these are some of Vectorpark's smaller games, which is why I wanted to showcase them in the same video instead of doing separate videos on them. This is also, of course, a way for me to let you guys know that I am still alive. I know it's once again been a little while since I uploaded any videos. Whenever I take an extended break from doing videos, I usually like to come back with a couple of smaller and more contained games, just to let you know that I am still in fact alive, and I am also working on more substantial videos. But in the meantime, I do feel like showing off more of Vectorpark's games today, so that's what today's video is gonna be. Now, for those of you who are getting tired of all the Vectorpark games that I've been covering recently, fear not, because there's only like 4 other games that Vectorpark has ever released. Even though Vectorpark have been around for like 20 years now, I believe, they only ever released about 9 games in total, and I've already done videos on 5 of them. So after this video goes live, there's only gonna be like 2 other Vectorpark games that I need to play, and I am planning on covering the last 2 Vectorpark games in a double feature as well, which will probably come sometime in December. After that, there won't be any more Vectorpark games for me to play until they release something brand new, and I mean, it's been 4 years since they released their last game, so I'm not entirely sure if that'll ever happen, honestly. But don't worry about it too much. There's only like 2 other videos that I want to do on Vectorpark's games, both of which are going to be double features, including this one, and then after that, there won't be any more Vectorpark games for me to cover. That'll be it after that. Of course, if you're not already familiar with Vectorpark, they are arguably best known for developing Windowsill and Metamorphobet, which are their only 2 commercial titles. Every other title that they made was released for free. So the first game that we are going to cover in this video is called Park, and Park is the oldest game that Vectorpark have ever released. This originally came out all the way back in 2001. Indeed, this is the first game that Vectorpark ever released publicly, and I've already played it quite a bit off screen, and yeah, it's about as wild and weird and whimsical as any of Vectorpark's other titles. This is definitely a weird one for sure, and with that being said, I would like to start showing you guys the game here. So you have this dude right here with a telescope. He's just kinda sitting on this giant wheel. There's a beach ball that you can left click on to make it bounce. Do not understand what the point of that is whatsoever. This is a cable car right here, and you can click on it and it'll light up temporarily. But this cable car is completely broken, it's non-functional. There is a way that we can fix it though, and I will be showing that off a little bit later. You can also click on Vectorpark's logo right here, which I assume will probably take you to their official website, but I don't really see what the point of doing that is in this video, so I'm not gonna bother. So the first thing that we can click on here is the moon. Oh yeah, this is also kind of interesting too, because this guy with the telescope will also track your cursor. So we can make him look at this moon right here. As you can see, there's some birds that are flying in front of the moon, and they are literally just koans with wings. Indeed, they're very, very minimalistic birds. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you, for a game that originally came out 20 years ago, like a Flash game that came out way back in 2001, the graphics on this are already pretty damn impressive, dude. I mean, look at this, for goodness sakes. So as far as I know, that's all you can really do with the moon right here. There's not really anything else that you can see. You just see the birds that are flying in front of it. So then we can go look at this forest. So what we can do with this forest is that we can actually left-click on these trees in order to knock all the trees down. There we go, we're just obliterating this freaking forest here. But we can actually find a monk who is just kind of floating around in the forest. So he's just kind of floating away here, as you can see. Thankfully, the forest does restore itself if you, if you just exit out of that little vignette right there. So the monk will float all the way up to this cliff face right here, and suddenly there will be another giant tree that just appears in front of you. There's a bunch of stuff you can click on here as well. You can click on this funnel all the way at the top. Hang on a second, I don't know why it keeps disappearing. It's just kind of snowing at the very top. Yeah, I don't exactly know where that snow is going, but... And I'm not doing anything to make it snow either, it's literally just doing that on its own. That snow is going somewhere though, I just don't know where. We can click on this little button right here on the side, and we have a variety of objects right here. We have this sort of pin, I think. Got a guy riding on a horse, you got another cone of some sort. So we can click on this little pin right here. And what'll happen is that it'll load up this really weird sequence where you can see a lot of, like, really cool animations, basically. So you got the horses that are running around each other, yeah, in a circle. And then you have... I don't even know what this is right here. Kind of looks like a flower pot that's also orbiting around it. Yeah, these animations don't stay there for too long, though. You can combine all the animations in order to create this crazy effect right here. You got the pin, you have this sort of, like... I don't even know what this is. You have, yeah, just cones that are floating around. You have this tree right here, or at least it looks like a tree to me. And you can see that even way back in this time, way back in the early 2000s, Vectorpark was still doing this thing where they were creating like pseudo 3D graphics with Flash here. It's actually pretty incredible stuff. At least for the time it was. Yeah, so this is what it looks like when you combine all of the animations together. Oh yeah, like the horses are just kind of like running around that tree right there. There's something that's like bubbling up from underneath the tree. I mean, it's still pretty cool to look at, but I don't completely understand what the point of it is. It does seem like there's little flags that are stuck to the roots of the tree on the bottom. It's still pretty cool. But we just exit out of that, and then we can click this button. And we have a bunch of ghosts that appear to be watching something on this display right here. Like this projector display, and you can left-click on the projector in order to cycle through some images. Almost looks like some sort of storyboard. I don't exactly know what's happening right here, but you have these guys in a factory of some sort. This guy who kind of looks like a robot. I don't really like the way that this hand looks. This looks kind of creepy. Something with horns. I don't know if this is... This scene right here kind of reminds me of something that I saw in Windowsill, actually. I don't know if that was, like, foreshadowing the Windowsill. This appears to be some kind of faucet that's leaking, I think. This is some dude's nose, or at least that's what it looks like. This thing that's also leaking right here. This definitely looks like some guy's head. But also looks like he has stairs leading up to his neck. It's like a robot of some sort. Giant piece of paper. Robot bug right here. Seems to be eating something. Yeah, a lot of like robotic imagery right here. This looks like legs. I don't know what the frick this is. Looks like something got destroyed here. This looks like a rocket. And these look like, again, mannequins of some sort. Or like, maybe they're the factory workers. Maybe they're working in some sort of factory. Don't know what this is either, just looks like a bunch of tunnels. And then we're back to the first image right here, which looks like some guy's severed hand almost. I don't know. This is kind of... It looks kind of creepy. I'm assuming that the ghosts right here are watching some sort of movie, but it seems like a kind of a disturbing movie here. Got a lot of, like, severed limbs. Even though it appears to be the severed limbs of, like, robots or mannequins, but even so, still kind of weird. Again, I don't exactly know what the purpose of that is, but then we can see another ghost right here if we click on this button. Hang on a second, the one that's lighting up right here. You click on this, there's a ghost that's struggling to get to sleep because this light is on right here. So what do? Well, we just turn the light off. Wait, not like that, hang on a second. We need to actually have the vignette on screen in order for this to work. There we go. You turn the light off, and he just goes to sleep. And then he starts dreaming of other ghosts. I don't know, I guess that's how ghosts help themselves get to sleep. They just, you know, instead of counting sheep, you're counting ghosts. So as he's sleeping right here, there's more ghosts that start to appear, and they eventually begin to form a circle. They just kind of start moving around themselves right here. I think there's about 7 ghosts that appear in total, and then after that, there's basically nothing else that happens. Yeah, all the ghosts are just galloping around each other. This guy's just dreaming of ghosts in order to help him get to sleep. Or he's like counting ghosts, I mean. So there we go, at least we helped that guy get some rest. Apparently he's living in a giant tree, which is interesting. You can't click on this floating monk right here, though. I don't exactly know what his purpose is, but you need to get him to this cliff face right here in order to make the tree even appear. Then you have this button down over here, which looks like the entrance to a gigantic barn. You just open that up. There's a little propeller that comes out. And what this propeller is going to do is that it's actually going to repair this cable right here so that the cable car is now functional again. So then we left-click on the cable car. We're actually going to travel inside the tree. So let's freaking do it then. Let's go in the tree here. Yeah, so the tree is mostly empty right now, as you can see. There is this little plant that does form that kind of looks like it's growing planets on it? Yeah, a plant that grows miniature planets. It's a Vectorpark game, okay? Don't question it. Don't question anything that happens in any of their games. Just enjoy it for what it is, man. Just embrace the majesty of it all, please. If you're wondering what this button on the top left is right here, this allows you to zoom out the screen so you can see this gigantic area a lot better. And I think just for the purpose of this video, I am just going to zoom it out so you can see a little bit better. So you can go in 3 different directions here. You can go back out where you came if you just want to leave entirely. That's not what I want to do, though. I want to try going down here to the right. I also like how you have these propellers that are holding up this wire right here. So, as you're moving around, there will be things that start to appear on the grass right here. For instance, you have this giant sea monster that apparently has multiple nostrils, and it breathes fire. What's also pretty cool about this is that when it is breathing fire, it causes all of the bubbles in the pond to... well, it causes the water in the pond, I should say, to start bubbling. There we go, just kind of heating up the water right here. It's a pretty cool effect. Not really any other use to it, though. If we go over this way, I do believe there's some little bunny rabbits that pop up right here. There we go. They look pretty cute. They just pop out of the grass, apparently. They pop out from underneath the ground. And you can make them move around with your cursor. Like, if you hover your cursor over them, it actually does cause them to hop about. I also like how the cable car here has a little shadow that it's projecting down onto the grass right here. You can just leave the bunnies alone for now. If we move over to the right, there's this giant building that appears in the center. There's the monk again. There we go. He shoots out of the opening at the top, and he just kind of floats there. It's kind of like, yeah, there we go, just blowing some air into him. Now he's just doing circles in the air, like he's just doing flips. There we go. Just make him sick. There we go. Just make him terminally ill by doing that. Very nice indeed. So he's just gonna kind of float there for now. Then we can try going towards this building. I don't think there's any other way to interact with the building other than that, though. If we go into the center, there's some little flowers that begin to grow around the building. Unfortunately, there's no other way to interact with those flowers. At least, I don't believe there is. So then we go forward again. All of a sudden, we have another forest that just suddenly pops up. We can move the trees around here, and we can get some birds to fly out of it. And I do believe... oh my god, he just, like, bounced up in the air. Yeah, so the birds fly out of the trees, and they do just kind of stay there for a little while. There we go. You can get them to come out. You can also tell that this is a really old Flash game from the early 2000s, because the audio quality on a lot of these sound effects is not very good. It is fairly low-quality sounds, but then again, that was one of the quirks that Flash had. One of the quirks that Flash had way back in the early 2000s, at least, because again, remember that this game came out in 2001 originally. Just to put that into perspective, I was only 3 years old when this game first came out. Okay, I just want to point that out. Like, this game is freaking ancient, dude. It's from a very ancient time in the internet's history. Is this from... would this be from the Web 1.0 era? Because when did Web 2.0 start? I don't even remember. Like, when did Web 2.0 become a thing? That was only in, like, the mid-2000s, I think. I don't freaking remember, but anyway, you have a mountain with, a lot of eyeballs. I don't really like it. Kind of disturbing. Also, a bit of a trypophobia warning, as well. Or a trypophobia trigger, I guess. Because a lot of eyes. Yeah, I don't really like it. Oh yeah, there's also a giant bird as well. Which is definitely a lot more pleasant than the eye is. I can at least say that. There we go. It is a cute bird. It is a cute little bird. By the way, this bird does track, your movements, like, everywhere you go. Unless you're going all the way to the right over here. I believe this is some sort of planetarium that has a tree growing out of it. You can make the branches grow on the tree by hovering your cursor over them. And eventually, there's little leaves that begin to form on them. Then you move your cursor over the leaves, they just get blown away. It's very nice. It can be kind of difficult to get the tree to grow to its, like, maximum potential here, just because the branches do tend to get very tiny as they grow outwards. There's also a lot of branches that are, like, hidden behind some of the other branches too, so it can be kind of difficult to grow this tree out fully because of that. Doesn't seem to be that much use to this planetarium other than that, though. And I do believe, well, actually no. When I went over here, that's what made this building with the monk appear. And I think other than that, I do believe I've actually grown out this giant field as much as I possibly can. I think this is literally everything that you can see in this specific area right here. But I can show that the bird does track your movements, because see how its head is starting to move every time you're moving the cable car around? Yeah, so it's just kind of staring at you. Unfortunately, there's no other way that you can interact with this bird. I wish you could. Like, could the bird just, like, swoop down and just freaking eat your cable car? That would have been pretty cool, I think, but unfortunately you can't do that. It just kind of stares at you, and it's a little creepy, admittedly, but yeah, so there's not really anything else to say about this particular area right here. Yeah, and then I can zoom in the camera just so you can get, like, a better look at some of the surroundings here. The camera does pan whenever you're just, you know, moving it around normally with the default camera angle. So there's not that much more to say about this particular area right here, so I think what I am going to do now is that I am actually just going to leave. Cause that's about all there is to see here. Yeah, I got a nice little forested area inside of a giant tree. Does it make sense at all? Absolutely not, but does it really have to? Absolutely not. Nothing about Vectorpark's games make any sense whatsoever, but that's what makes them so charming. So then after you leave the inside of the tree actually starts growing weird stuff on it. So it suddenly grows a beard, then you hover your cursor over that, and then it gets replaced with what looks like a trumpet. And then you hover your cursor over that, it gets replaced with a tentacle, which I really don't like the look of at all. Then it gets replaced with a leg and a pipe. Yeah, now this is kind of reminding me of Feed the Head. This almost seems to be like most of the same assets that were in Feed the Head, or at least that's what it looks like to me. There's this giant flag up here, which you can also just remove by hovering your cursor over it. I don't exactly know what the point of that is. I don't know what this, like, weird gray stuff that's just kind of seeping out of the tree is as well. I don't know if you can see that, but it just kind of looks like some form of residue. I don't exactly know what that's supposed to be. I haven't been able to figure out what exactly that is, but yeah, other than that, I don't really know what else there is to do in this game. I still haven't figured out what to do with this beach ball right here. Because I can make it bounce, but I was kind of wondering if I could, like, I don't know, I could just lob it at this monk right here and knock him off the cliff. I don't freaking know. So, yeah, I don't really know what else there is to do in this game other than that. I mean, I guess I could go and look at the funnel again just to see if anything's changed with that. I don't believe anything has, though. It's still just snowing very softly into the funnel. I don't know if I wait here for long enough, it'll change or it'll cause something to happen. I don't freaking know. So, with all of that done though, I do believe that I am probably going to just end the video here. Well, actually, hang on a second. There's more things that are beginning to pop out of this tree right here. Okay, wait a minute. Just hang on a second. Hang on a sec. Oh, you can actually have multiple vignettes appear on the screen at a single time. Okay, I didn't know you could do that. Okay, is there any way that I can remove this vignette right here, please? Hello. Actually, it kind of seemed like I could press on the propeller itself, but doesn't seem like that's really doing anything. Okay, I guess I actually need to go in order to get it to disappear. Why can't I just get it to disappear normally, just like the other vignettes? Fine, I just want to go back out. Yeah, if you go out and then go back inside the tree, it does reset the entire field, so you have to grow everything back again. I don't really want to do that right now, though. Just get that out of here. Get that out of here, please. Okay, and now all the tree's limbs are not even appearing anymore. So, oh god, do I have to go back in the tree to grow everything back again? And, oh no, I actually don't. It has a pipe now. Okay, wait. What if I just leave the tree alone and let it grow all of its stuff back? Because eventually it must get to a point where it's gonna grow all of its limbs at once, and then maybe something special will happen at that point? I don't really know. I don't really know how exactly this works. But I think other than that, guys, I think you get the gist of this entire game. It's, yeah, it's basically like a point-and-click game. You know, the kind of stuff that Vectorpark was pretty well known for back in this time, and still are well known for even today. It's very charming. I wasn't expecting a whole lot from this game, but I was pleasantly surprised by it. For a Flash game that came out 20 years ago, it's pretty impressive stuff. One of the things that always impresses me about Vectorpark is that each one of their games seems to have its own unique personality. Like, their games have so much personality and character to them, despite being relatively simple point-and-click adventure games. If you could even call them adventure games, really. Because there is no overarching plot in any of these games, and there's not really any sort of narrative to be found here. I guess eventually this tree is gonna grow, like, all of its limbs back here, but I don't know if I'm really in the mood to see what happens when it does grow all of its stuff back, because it seems like I do have to wait for a little while in order for that to happen, and I'm just not entirely sure if there is even anything special that does happen when I do manage to, wait long enough that it actually just grows all of its stuff back on its own. I don't really know. I also don't know if maybe you have to make these disappear in a specific order in order to get something special to happen. But yeah, I don't really feel like waiting around for that. I'd kind of like to just go on to the next game now. So, yeah, that's it for Park. A charming little Flash game that came out way back in 2001. I'm at least glad that Vectorpark decided to preserve it, so that even 20 years later, you're still able to play it in some capacity. It does seem like Vectorpark cares quite a bit about preserving their own history, and I can definitely appreciate that, from someone who is a pretty big believer in game preservation themselves. But with that being said, we are now going to transition from Vectorpark's oldest game to Vectorpark's newest game, so let's go and do it. Alright, so the next game that I have here in the docket is called Sandcastles. So this is Vectorpark's most recent title that they have put out. This game came out in 2017, so it is still relatively old, but it's definitely a lot more recent than Park. So this is a game where you're literally just building sandcastles, and that's about it. So you have 7 different sandcastles that you can create here. You have sandcastles that look like actual castles, but you also have one that looks like a skyscraper, and even a flower. Oh yeah, and you also have one that actually looks like the tree from Park, interestingly enough. And that's literally all you do in this game. If I click this button right here, you can see some additional information. Sandcastles, a Vectorpark activity by Patrick Smith. Press spacebar to toggle full screen. Yeah, we've got sound credits, visit Vectorpark, and mobile apps. I do believe it is also possible to play this game in your browser as well. But, okay, yeah, so there's a wave that comes by every now and again that will actually wash away your sandcastle. Yeah, so you don't get to see these sandcastles forever. Unfortunately, your sandcastles will get washed away eventually. Yep, they'll just get washed away by the ocean. As a matter of fact, here it comes right now. But in the meantime, If you're wondering how exactly I created those sandcastles right there, all you have to do in order to build sandcastles in this game is you left-click, and then you just drag your mouse in any direction, and it'll make sandcastles. And that's about it. And once again, this was also made in Flash. This is running on the exact same engine that was used to build Park. And what's also kind of interesting as well is that, okay, this one's blowing steam? I never saw that before. Yeah, you can make them appear closer or further away from you. It does depend on where you are placing your mouse. If you place your mouse to the bottom of the screen, then it'll build the sandcastle closer to you, and if you build it further away, then it'll place it further away from you. But eventually, it will all just get washed away, so at the end of the day, it's all for naught. It's all for naught, but you can make it sway around by moving your cursor left and right. It does kind of seem like when you have... What the heck is that? That's like a box of golf balls, almost. It does seem like when you have multiple sandcastles enabled, it does create all sorts of really weird and wacky shapes. Because I do believe that you can disable these different kinds of sandcastles at any point in time. So like, for instance, what if I only wanted to create skyscrapers? It would just literally... Yeah, it would just create skyscrapers. But it's creating different kinds of skyscrapers, though, which is interesting. So there's, like, multiple different kinds. And then when you enable every single one of them, it almost combines the designs together, which is pretty cool, actually. So, like, for instance, what if I were to combine that with the tree? Skyscraper and a tree. Okay, wait for the wave to get out of the way, please and thank you. Yeah, it does actually combine different parts of those sandcastles. Oh my god, what am I creating here? What is this? Oh, this is freaking odd. Oh, that's just bizarre. Okay, I made the Leaning Tower of Pisa over there. Yeah, that's really weird. I never tried doing that before, though, because I wasn't entirely sure how it was, like, building these sandcastles, but I guess there's, like... Yeah, each individual piece is, like, constructed from whatever you have enabled right here. So, like, if I have 3 of them enabled... Okay, get out of the way, wave, please and thank you. You can't build anything when there's a wave in the way. Yeah, it's combining everything together. Oh, it gave this one a little flag. I like how they all have shadows as well. How do you do this kind of stuff in Flash, man? Like, this is just blowing my mind. It's so incredible. Maybe I'm just really impressionable, but still, it's amazing. It's freaking amazing what Vectorpark has managed to do with Flash over the past, like, 20 years. Alright, so I only just realized now that I can actually stretch this window out to widescreen. It does allow me to resize it, so I'm actually brain dead. Anyway. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this particular game here, because, I mean, that's literally all there is to say about sandcastles. You make sandcastles, and eventually they just get washed away. Oh yeah, here you go. When you're playing it in widescreen, it actually gives you a lot more space to create sandcastles as well. You can actually make more of them. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, by the way. I didn't realize this game actually allowed me to resize the window, because it didn't allow me to do that for Park. Oh yeah, this is significantly better, because I have a lot more space to, like, create sandcastles here. Yeah, there we go. I can create, like, really tiny ones as well. There we go, this very flattened building right here. Hang on, just get one more out before it gets washed away. Very nice. This one looks like a giant statue with a flower on top of it. That looks really cool. It is really interesting how it combines parts from, like, all the different kinds of sandcastles when you have all 7 of them enabled at once. Pretty damn neat, man. Oh, this one just has, like... What in the world is that? It has speakers on the side. That looks weird. Okay, this is not really ideal, though, because they're going completely off the screen here. Oh yeah, that one right here is literally a flower, and this one's also blowing steam again. I do not like the way that the top of this one looks on the left side. That looks oddly phallic, and I don't like it. That's sandcastles, guys. That's literally the whole game. If you're wondering what this game is all about, this is it. You just make sandcastles, eventually they get washed away, they just kind of sink into the ocean here. This building right here has a giant beach ball on the top. That's what it looked like to me. So yeah, this is part of the reason why I wanted to play this alongside Park, because there's even less to say about this one than the previous Vectorpark game that I played. That's about it. I do like how some of the sandcastles will actually cast their shadows onto the other sandcastles. That also looks really cool too. Yeah, eventually they all just get swallowed by the sea. Yeah, like, see right here? See how this giant thing, oh my god, this one also has like a big beach ball on the top, but see how the shadow is getting like cast down onto the other sandcastle behind it? Everything about this game is really neat, man, even though there may not be that much to it. Again, it is pretty obvious that this game was designed more as a toy than an actual, like, fully fledged product, which is also probably why it was released for free. And keep in mind that this was the game that Vectorpark released immediately after Metamorphobet. I can definitely see why it would have been given away for free though, because it does feel more like a toy, and for a toy-like game, there's really not a whole lot to it. It seems like the kind of thing that you should only enjoy for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes at a time. Got a lot of flower sandcastles that time. I do kind of wish there was a way to disable the wave that comes in and just washes away all your sandcastles. I wish there was like some sort of option that I could enable to just trigger that manually. Like if I wanted to erase my sandcastles, then maybe I could trigger the wave manually and it could come in and just wash it all away. I don't really like how it just triggers automatically, and it triggers not too long after you start building sandcastles as well, which I don't fully appreciate. What I do appreciate, though, is this freaking lighting, and also just the absolute weirdness of all these sandcastle designs. This is a really neat game for sure, and it's definitely one of Vectorpark's better games, I would say, even though there really isn't a whole lot to it. But anyway, with that being said, guys, I do believe I am just going to end this video here. Oh my god, that's a really strange one. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this video here, because I've got nothing more to say about this. Just building sandcastles over and over. Wow, that's a really big one, though. Why is this one so big? There you go, it's like you're watching an entire city sinking into the ocean. It's really cool. So there you go, those were 2 more Vectorpark games that I really wanted to show off to you guys here. Park and Sandcastles. And I'm gonna be real with you, I definitely enjoy Sandcastles a lot more than Park. That's probably only because this is probably the one Vectorpark game that has, like, probably the highest visual fidelity, at least next to Metamorphobet. I'm not entirely sure if I would call this particular game relaxing, though, just given the fact that, you know, you're building all these really weird-looking sandcastles, but they're all eventually gonna get washed away. So even though I do enjoy this game for what it is, it also does kind of fill me with a sense of dread in a way, because I know that all my sandcastles are just gonna get, like, eaten up by the ocean. They're just gonna get swept away, eventually, and most of the time, they're gonna get swept away within like 10 seconds of me building them. Which again, is why I kinda wish you could just trigger the wave manually. But whatever, man, it is what it is. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the video here. I'm not gonna pad this out any further. If you guys want to download Park and Sandcastles, the link is in the description. You can find both of these games on Vectorpark's itch.io page. And stay tuned, because the next double feature that I will be doing in December will be covering the last 2 Vectorpark games that they have released. And that will be the end of all the Vectorpark games after that. So, the next double feature that I do after this will be the last video that I probably will ever do on any of Vectorpark's titles. That is until they release something brand new. As for when exactly that'll happen, I have no idea. But if Vectorpark does ever release anything new in the future, you bet I will be covering it for sure. So with all that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video I make. Later!